Journey was free on PlayStation Plus last month, so I decided to give it a shot. Back when it originally released in 2012, it was largely criticized by hardcore gamers for not being a game. And I like games, so anything that's not a game is as good as dead to me. Okay, so maybe you picked up on some of the subtle hints in my previous videos, but I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. Sort of like Dark Souls, I'm a pretty big fan of the Souls series. Coming from a Dark Souls snob, swear to God, Dark Souls has ruined me. So I'll be comparing Journey to the only game that has ever mattered in the history of ever. Dark Souls.
I'm sorry.
You play as this nameless red thing. You appear on the outskirts of a once prosperous civilization that died after running out of power of magic scarves. Seriously, everything was peachy until two assholes fighting over the main scarf tore it in half and started a war over whose fault it was. Believe it or not, but there are more similarities between Dark Souls and Journey that you might not initially expect. And that's besides the fact that both developers have stupid names. But as it turns out, you're the prophesized red thing, or at the very least a desert sorceress before she sluts out. Anyway, you have to link the cycle of magic scarves, or whatever, by climbing a mountain. So both games have a cyclical theme. There's also a chance you're being deceived by the bigger white thing, who's a being of the fallen city. Although Journey doesn't let you go down different roads at the end, so minus points for that. Like Dank Souls, Journey's story is pretty vague, but unlike Dank memes where you earn your item descriptions and dialogues, Journey spoon feeds you the voiceless cutscenes every step of the way, just like every casual loving game. And that's where the main differences are. Journey relies on its story rather than gameplay, so it's a boring piece of shit. If I wanted a story with minimal gameplay, I'd watch a fucking movie. Unless you play offline, in which case I lose all respect for you, you get invaded in dim spirits by other players. And you get invaded by players in Journey, but they're sort of like Mad Phantoms in Demon's Souls 4. So you can either cooperate together if you're a pussy, or you can try to kill each other, like men. However, there's no attacking in Journey. It basically consists of walking, sliding, jumping/flying as you move from one area to the next, which makes it a pain in the ass when some random pleb invades, so you have to get creative with how you take out each invader. I did encounter one PvP expert who actually used himself as bait to take me out. Your prepubescent desert sorceress actually has unlimited Wrath of the Gods miracles, but they don't do any damage unfortunately, so I guess they're probably force instead. Journey and Dark Souls also have a common underlying theme as well. Fashion is king. If you're not being fashionable as fuck, then you're missing the point. Every time you find one of these shining glyphs, you can fly longer, but the real benefit is getting a longer scarf. Here's me. And here's this guy. If you have the longer scarf, you win. Which actually promotes exploration in a sense, because these things are scattered all over the place. Even though there aren't many enemies in Journey, it's still even more punishing than Black Korea's in a way. Because if you die from these floating motherfuckers, you lose your scarf, and have no option to recover it. Now, I feel like it's worth mentioning that I only know this because I saw this loser get destroyed. And while it doesn't bother me, because I'm actually good at video games, I'm trying to be an objective reviewer here. So I have to admit that that system's just a little too brutal for the average gamer. Another similarity between these two games are their soundtracks. Both are amazing. Just like how poorly lit Heels' bosses complement or occasionally contrast with its music to evoke emotion, Journey is composed splendidly, and this game wouldn't be able to keep me awake without it. You even get music all the time, even though I feel like Dark Souls' soundtrack is longer for some reason. So in conclusion, Journey is like Dark Souls, but not when it really counts, and definitely appeals to the everyday IGN reviewer and casual indie game lover. With that said, it's definitely the worst Souls clone in my opinion, even worse than Lords of the Fallen. But Journey gets 5.147 out of whatever. Alright, so this review was clearly a joke. It's basically a tutorial on what not to do in a review. I just wanted to try something a little different and really stupid. But in all honesty, Journey's a solid game that's worth playing at least once. I played it before, and it definitely doesn't have the same impact as the first time. It's not all it was hyped up to be in 2012 when every game critic was magnetized to its nuts, but it's still pretty good. Anyway, do the like, comment, dislike, don't comment, viewer thing that you guys do. Later.